I told you, the name's Jack-O-Lantern, King of Halloween. Hey ho! Who wants to gather around the old campfire for roasted marshmallows and spooky stories?
Hello there, gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying-Model-Behaviour, the Earth's mightiest video podcast. And we have got the entire Spider-Man retro wave to kick off 2024 with, and I'm not standing on ceremony. I'm going straight to the figure that caught my eye the most. Yes, of course, Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider. That was my most anticipated figure. But this guy, Jack-O-Lantern, this was the one who really stood out to me when they revealed the entire wave. First of all, just because visually he's so striking. And then secondly, it's another Spider-Man Rogues Gallery character. So of course, I wanted to get my mitts on him. He's been in my top 10 most wanted figures for a long time. So when he was announced, I thought, okay, come on, Marvel Legends, let's see if you can deliver on this guy. Have they done that? Well, we're going to find out right now. First of all, we can take a look at Mad Jack in the packaging, and having said that, I just realized Mad Jack is actually the name of a different version of this character. The lineage does get confusing. We've got Jack-O-Lantern in the box, and again, of course, as soon as you put him in the beautiful card-back retro-style packaging, it's gonna get extra points because they just look so gorgeous in that setup there. But then we take him out, and I'm generous enough to throw him on a flight stand, and yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I wanted to see. A bright, bold, colorful comic book character who's just going to pop off the shelf. So he initially passes that first test of the eyeball test. You catch him at the corner of your eye and you go, oh, hello, who's this on my shelf? But then, of course, you're going to take a closer look. And that's where you might pick up on a few nuances here and there. You want to hear what they are? Here it goes. So we'll start from the top, because the big selling point for me is the huge, big, fiery, flamey pumpkin head. You ask someone to describe Jack-O-Lantern, boom, like, does what it says on the tin. He's got this pumpkin head, so that was the thing they had to get right. And I'm happy to say, yeah, they got this right here. The beautiful translucent flames. Translucent plastic is always going to be something that's a winner for me. It's going to catch my attention because it's just so pretty. And it feels like there's more value to it because you're getting different types of material. Yes, it's all plastic, and I'm not a toy maker or a physicist. I don't know what molecules go into the different things, but I know they're different. That makes it feel like it's worth more. But then you go to the actual pumpkin itself, and this is where you can see a bit of extra money being spent, because he's got the beautiful little wash over the pumpkin, or is it the dry brush on top? I don't know the techniques, but whatever they do, it brings out all the little cracks and creases and crevices in the pumpkin, which makes it feel real. It makes it feel alive, like an actual monstrous character, not just something that's been farted out of a plastic machine like a McFlurry. You just pull the lever and out comes the action figure. This looks like it's actually been painted and had care and craft put on it. Also, this is how it should be done. This is how we do it. This is how it should have been done. Remember the Dormammu figure that came out a couple of years ago? The face and the flames were all kind of pretty much the same color. It's like they hadn't quite got the color grading sorted out. So it all sort of blended into itself, and it was just a pinky orangey mess. Whereas this is what I think they were aiming for and they didn't quite get. Now we've got the beautiful distinction between the orange of the pumpkin and the fire and the flames, and then the bright popping yellow inside the eyes and mouth. And I do love the sculpting on these eyes, where they're not just uniform, but he's got kind of a creepy, evil sort of expression going on there. It could have just been a generic pumpkin, and instead he's actually got some character to his head. Now we do get a bit of a caveat, because the head goes left and right, no problem there, but then you're a little bit limited. There's got a little bit of back and forth angling going on there, but not a lot. And also, yes, angling, it's now a word, look it up, official. So that's the big selling point, and you know what? I really like it. Everything else is kind of secondary, but it's very important. His neckerchief is great. That fills in the gap between the head and the shoulders. It's comic book accurate. That's kind of lovely. And then we got the fish scale armor here. And I wasn't sure, were they going to reuse some of the old stuff? I don't think so. I'm terrible at, saying what's old and what's new and what's borrowed and what's from this figure and that figure. But I think that this is an original piece now for him. I'm sure it'll get reused for different characters. But looking at the body as a whole, no pins. No pins in the elbows, no pins in the knees. Don't worry. I'm not giving Hasbro credit for something they're supposed to do. In the year of our Lord, 2024, we shouldn't be having pins in the elbows and knees. Not for $25+. So I'm pleased that he's beautiful and smooth and looks good, but also he should do. But I'll still give a little bit of credit. Then, of course, I love a big thing I really, really picked up on that I kind of wasn't expecting to, is just the aesthetics of the pumpkins around his belt here. I don't know what it is, but I just kind of love it. It's really satisfying. These perfect little orange spheres really kind of pop off the character. It just adds this different color element, and he's just fun to look at. That's something I really, really like. And of course, he has this extra separate bomb that you can port onto the belt as well. So if you want to have the uniform bombs going around the sides, you can do. But I mean, come on. Of course you want to have him clutching his pumpkin bomb. And the material used for his hands feels a little bit softer, a bit more rubbery. And that's really great because the hand just grips the pumpkin so easily, and you just pull it out, and it's just the ease of use, the ease of exchanging the different parts. It counts. It counts for a lot. I really, really like that. And he does have two other hands as well. He's got his two fists as well, so he can be flying on his disc and saying, like, put up your dukes, or you can have him just reaching to grab one of his pumpkin bombs. I love the variety you can do with that. And then just going straight down the rest of the body, not too much to report. It's kind of basic. You got the Buccaneer boots on there, and then we have the flying disc itself. Now this is fine. It's nothing too extraordinary. I mean, back in the day, Toy Biz and Hasbro, several years ago, they could have done some more detail on this. There's no paint or anything. It is just a piece of plastic, and it's adequate. It does the job. It's got the ports for the feet so he can stand on it. It's okay, but that's all it is. But it is a nice big accessory. And also you can take off the base here so that you can stick in the base that comes with the Demo Goblin Builder figure or the MCU Green Goblin. Would have been nice if they'd actually thrown in a base as well. And I don't know what things cost. And people always give the argument of, oh, they have to save money so they can do obscure characters. But I'm still going to say what I would have liked to have seen. And if this guy came with a flight stand base as well, I think you'd be hard-pressed, honestly, to find any complaints to have. But he didn't, so I'm just saying. Gotta provide your own flight stand. Not the end of the world, though. What was almost the end of the world, though, however, was the fact that when I was unboxing him, I couldn't even tell if he was supposed to have a waist swivel. I mean, you would expect him to, but it was so stiff. It was fused. It wasn't just stiff. It wasn't moving anywhere. I had to dunk him in a hot water jacuzzi for quite a while to break up and loosen up whatever it was that was sticking that waist in place. So I was very happy to see that obviously he does have a waist swivel. You can get a more dynamic pose, but there's always a caveat. With the belt that he's wearing, if you twist his waist, you're going to bend the belt. You're going to bend and warp the belt. Now, I do like the fact that at least he does have a belt so that when you twist him at the waist, you don't get that disc break in the body. It's still a pretty smooth looking torso. Well, torso and hips and waist. You know what I'm saying. You don't get the big ugly disc appearing either side of his hips where he's swiveling. But if you're going to start to bend and warp the belt, that's not great, because also I can see at the back there, the belt has a little port that ports into the small of his back. So when you start to bend that, it pops out. So I now that I'm putting him in a more neutral position, I'm trying to like push that back in, and it's a bit awkward. So it's good that he articulates in that regard, but also he should do, and it's a bit of a shame that things get a bit warped when he does. And I'm instantly thinking, well, what you could have done if you wanted to go the extra mile, if you wanted to make the figure a bit more high-end, you could have done one of those nice kind of torso ball type swivels. Again, the terminology, I'm embarrassing myself there, but you know what I mean, where it is the dipped in sort of ball swivel. That would have worked better. They would have made it a better action figure. And this is actually a little behind the music here. This is the second review I've filmed for this guy. Because honestly, the first one, I was too positive. I was a bit giddy. Because I can be a big giddy kid. I've wanted this figure for a long, long time. I've got him and I was like, oh, everything is great. Everything is awesome. And I thought, no, come on, Dave. This is a review. You can still have your personality and your character, but gotta be a little more nuanced. So there are a few things that aren't perfect about him. And then the simple fact that there's no extra paint, no washes, no highlights or anything on the body. And I kind of forget to mention that because we're so used to it. We're just used to Marvel Legends not having extra paint, not having washes and highlights. That's a real shame. So I will call it out because it would add so much more. Like, you don't have to change the colors. I know these are the comic book colors. If you were adding more stuff, it wouldn't be comic accurate. But nonetheless, you could add more shading to make it feel more vibrant and alive and make it feel worth more money. And also, I gotta say, I said and also as if like I'm about to say a bad thing. I'm not. I'm just going to compliment the shiny metallic chainmail. That's actually lovely. Don't worry. Nothing to complain about there at all. So this is the Jack-O-Lantern I always wanted. We had a previous one back in 2016, maybe? And I think he might have been the Mad Jack character. He had much more of a modern mercenary kind of costume, and he was flying around on a broomstick, as opposed to the Saucer, which is far more respectable. But he was great. I really loved him, but he's very spindly. Very, very spindly-bindly. Definitely needed a new version of Jack-O-Lantern. And this, even though it's got the normal gripes you would have with a Marvel Legend as far as lacking paint and being quite basic, he pops. And the figure itself feels kind of chunky. And that means a lot. It feels like a good action figure. That's my very intellectual review of this. This is a good action figure. In fact, let's give him a grade. So for the Marvel Legends Jack-O-Lantern, I'm going to give this guy a 3.5 stars out of 5, but with a boom seal of model behavior. Because I'm a big fan of this figure. I think that genuinely just looking at him objectively as a toy, as an action figure, he doesn't really warrant more than 3.5 out of 5, which is still a good grade. It's a very good grade. But for me, for my own personal love and enjoyment of this character, being able to throw him in my Spider-Man Rogues gallery, that jacks him up to a model behavior little seal of approval. But that still doesn't mean that he's worth more stars. Have I justified that enough? I think I have. And folks, that does it for my review of Jack-O-Lantern. What do you think from what you've seen here? I know that I got him a little bit early. Don't worry. I paid through the nose for him, but it's the only way that I can get these figures in Japan. I gotta ship them in from Hong Kong because they just don't hit retail shelves over here. But hey, at least it means I get to do the reviews early. So gang, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see here and you want to see more, then you know what you gotta do. You gotta join the 6-1 Clicks by clicking the like, share, and subscribe buttons. That would really help me out, help out the channel. Heck, go next door, help out your neighbor as well. Just do some good deeds. That's what model behavior is all about. And anyway, enough of my mad rambling. Until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Cup of coffee, cup of coffee.